Holy crap, guys, I just got done with this cast, and I realized in rewatching it that my audio, like my mic audio, was super desynced just because of the lag that I've been having, and I cannot figure out how to fix it. I have it checked on Fraps to synchronize audio with video, but it doesn't quite work out correct. Yes, I have. It doesn't quite work out correctly when you have this much lag. I don't know why, but I'll get over it in some way. I'll get over it. We'll cry a lot, but I'll get over it. Anyways, the reason I'm making this little amendment to the no, it's a prologue. Yeah, there we go. Prologue. The reason I'm making this little prologue is to let you know later on in the cast, there's a lot of things that are specific to where my mouse is highlighting that I'm talking about. And so keep that in mind when I refer to something and go, what? He's not highlighting the mineral field? Well, that's why. So if it looks a little wonky, it's because there's about a 1.5 2 second delay towards the end of the cast. I apologize for it. There's not a lot I can do until I get this lag fixed, which is up to Mediacom. So, yeah, go Mediacom. Okay, thanks. Hello, this is RekStarcraft, and I have another cast for you guys today. This is going to be SUGATOOTH, who I'm going to call SugarTooth, versus McToasty. Why am I calling SUGATOOTH? Because I can't move myself to say SUGATOOTH. I'm sorry. I feel dumb saying it. I'm sorry. It's a great name and all. It's not really a great name. I'm lying. So you're SUGATOOTH for the course of this game. Okay? Okay. So here we go. And now that I'm done completely ripping on the submitter, thank you for submitting this replay, SUGATOOTH. This is a gold level game, and I believe this is a ladder match. I did not confirm McToasty's rating, but I believe this is indeed a ladder match, so that should be good. Wanted to get something out of the way. I've had a lot of replays submitted since I last started casting other people's replays. I've been kind of on a live cast streak, and I've been kind of neglecting to cast other people's games. So I've had a lot of submittals. And I was looking through those today, and I wanted to give people some guidelines that'll kind of help them make sure that I don't just kind of ignore it. If it's uploaded to any kind of generic upload site that is ad supported and spyware supported generally, I probably won't look at it, just because you go to those sites and there's like 3 different download links and only one of them's real. The rest of them will take you to something that wants to install 50,000 things on your computer. So I generally just don't even bother with those sites. I mean, I have software on my computer to protect against it, but I prefer not to even support those sites. So gamereplays.org is good, or you can just attach it to the replay if you're not comfortable putting it on gr.org. So yeah, just make sure you're not using any of those. Otherwise, I literally just skim past it. The other thing is, if it's a super long wall of text, I tend to just kind of move on as well. I've had a lot of those, and for one, I can't read it. I can't read it all. I appreciate that you took the time to type all that out, but it's just, for one, it spoils the game, and I try to have some authenticity here and understand, go into it not understanding what really happens in the game. And then aside from that, I just, words. Okay, anyways. Yeah, aside from that, it's just if I were to read all of that and then try to commentate on it, it's just going to be I'm going to be so tired already from just reading it all. I don't mean that to sound like a jerk, but some of these are literally like 2 pages long worth of information about it, and I can't possibly do it. So anyways, if I sound a little crazy, it's because I had some more caffeine, and yeah, caffeine's not good for me. Anyone who's watched me on caffeine before, it's like I die a little inside when I have even like a Dr. Pepper. So maybe that means I need to drink more caffeine so I build up a tolerance, but I'm not really sure. Okay, so I suppose I should stop bullshitting. There's no questions from SUGATOOTH, so we're just going to get right on to analysis. And let's watch some income. I always like to do this when we're looking at a hatch first build. We want to see how quickly the player can capitalize on the macro advantage they're attempting to develop. So here's where it gets a little dangerous. We've got 2 barracks already up, and this overlord is gonna go down. Yep. So this is scary, very, very scary for SUGATOOTH, because he's now down 3 supply. He's supply blocked, and production shows us that an overlord just started. So this is even scarier. 2 queens going up, which is great, but in this circumstance it's going to be kind of rough, because when these Marines arrive, which we know they're arriving since we saw there's a 2 barracks going up, and there's really no reason our Terran player would not be engaging with those 2 barracks. Spines would have honestly been better than queens at this point, just because of now losing that Overlord. It's almost the point where you may even want to cancel one of the 2 queens and drop some spines. That sounds kind of ridiculous, but yeah, you got to do some desperate things when you lose an Overlord so early to stabilize, because your opponent, if they know their timings properly and they have good game sense, they're going to know that they have a window they can capitalize on, and here he comes. This is actually a little late. I would have liked to have seen the Terran player just immediately push out, but this is still, look at that. Oh god. This could be crushing. And actually, if I didn't see what time this game went to, I would think this might be the end of the game, but actually, our Terran player is not putting up a bunker, which, given this amazing creep spread, I can understand. Okay, now SUGATOOTH actually would have wanted to pull back and wait for more links to arrive, especially with Metabolic just finishing up. So, that would have been very helpful. You just don't want to engage 8 lings against 8 Marines and 2 SCVs. It's not going to pay off. This queen could have been microed back, you know, pull the drones, just wait for more lings and you're going to be fine. And this is, okay. So this is where he gets behind early on, it looks like. Pretty good surround with those drones. It's just, keep in mind what he could have done if it were those drones and all the Zerglings that had spawned thus far. It could have been those drones surrounding, and 2 queens, and 10 Zerglings. And if he would have engaged with that, then he would have lost maybe 2 to 3 drones, and 2 to 3 Zerglings, and no queens, as opposed to 1 queen, 10 Zerglings, and 5 drones. So make sure that when you're in a situation like this, where they're putting you in just a really shitty circumstance, and you're gonna have to take a hit, you minimize those losses by making sure you engage with everything you are going to need to defend it off all at once. And that's going to really give you some damage control. I like what is going on here. He's kind of prodding, just seeing if there's more production going on, but just try to scout down here and make sure he's not expanding behind this, because that's a very popular ploy. So we're going to be in the dark here for a bit, since SUGATOOTH didn't check that. So we don't know if there's an expand going behind this, or tech, or what. And in fact, this may be a time when it's time to go ahead and suicide an Overlord to verify that, because I'd be a little worried. And actually, I'm going to turn off production, because we know by looking up in the upper left corner now. I feel like I cheated. So at this point, SUGATOOTH really needs to recover his drone count. Look at all these. He's doing good on his injections, and so he needs to pull these drones off gas and just recover his drone count for a bit. You know, it's kind of a desperate times call for desperate measures sort of thing. So a few Banelings, this is enough Banelings. That's more than enough to hold off some pre-stim aggression. And even stim without combat shields can be rough, because 1 Baneling will kill a stimmed Marine without combat shields. So he's okay for a while on defense, particularly with maybe 1 spine. So these drones off gas just macro up, because we look and he's still down on harvesters despite being on 2 base to what I suspect is his opponent's 1 base. So that is a bit rough for SUGATOOTH, and that's something that everyone should keep in mind, is don't feel committed to keeping these drones on gas. I have a lot of games where, in fact, one of my standard build orders, I will actually pull drones off gas and put them back on gas 2 to 3 times before going layer, just based on what I've scouted. Oh, did I scout they're vulnerable to +1? Okay, I need 100 more gas. Okay, now I started +1. Let's pull it back off so I can continue making more drones and Zerglings. And just keep rinsing, and repeating that process so that you're never over-mining gas for what you don't necessarily need at the time. Because right now he's, getting Baneling speed, which is all well and good, and he's getting an Overseer, which maybe isn't the best choice against Terran, but that's, not going to be too terrible. But that Baneling speed and Overseer could have been a lot of minerals, given that minerals mine faster than gas. So he could have been much further ahead macro-wise than he is now. And this is actually fortunate for our Zerg player, for SUGATOOTH, that McToasty isn't playing more aggressively than he is. Had McToasty followed up with just some sort of tech-based aggression, maybe a siege tank marine push, Or hell, just the Hellions. The Hellions he started there with. If these Hellions were in SUGATOOTH's base, or Hellions, Banshees were in SUGATOOTH's base, 2 or 3 of them, there would be a lot of trouble for SUGATOOTH. I mean, he's got 2 queens. He's got no Evo Chamber, just starting now. So, and no Hydra Den. And actually, good response from SUGATOOTH now that he's seen that Banshee. But this is really just fortunate that our Terran player is playing so passive, that he's given the time to get these queens out. So just make sure that when you have been hit, and actually here's that aggression, it's just too late. Make sure that when you have been hit by something hard that set you back, you go ahead and try to take a risk that's going to put you ahead, but you do it in the right way. And where SUGATOOTH could have gotten back in the game is by, like I said, pulling the drones off gas, maybe depending on hatch tech a little bit longer, getting an Evo Chamber so he has access to spores if needed. But aside from that, just drone, hide behind a few banelings, some speedlings, and a spine crawler, and just catch up that economy. But nevertheless, I think that's what SUGATOOTH tried to do, and he just kind of split himself in a few too many different directions, and that's why he's not more ahead than he is right now. So a couple more queens coming out, and this is good. I always will be happy to see queen heavy play, along with this amazing creep spread. So this is showing some very strong fundamentals for SUGATOOTH. Very, very focused on defense and keeping any pushes at a minimum, because when a Terran tries to push through mid, he's going to have to kill creep every step of the way. If he neglects to kill this tumor, well, guess what? That's now an optimal place to flank from here and attack from here, because all of a sudden when you get onto that tumor's creep spread, you've got a huge mobility. So it slows down a Terran push a lot to have this strong of a creep spread, and that's really impressive on SUGATOOTH's part. So we're sneaking a gold, and this is keeping with the theme of taking some calculated risks to try and get back ahead in the game. But the funny thing is, SUGATOOTH's not so much behind anymore. There's a big push coming, which we saw moving out over here. It may not even be a push. It may just be to expand down here. So that may be something SUGATOOTH wants to check. But nevertheless, if we look at the drone count, we see that SUGATOOTH is actually ahead now. As long as he can stabilize, well, he is stabilized, as long as he can maintain stability against this push, which is very, very baneling vulnerable. It has stem, but it doesn't have, like I mentioned before, it does not have combat shields. And so this is going to be great. I honestly do not predict SUGATOOTH having any trouble. There we go. Oh, come on. Where's the boom headshot? There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Even managed to get in a little surround there. That was great management on SUGATOOTH's part. And actually, I've had some people kind of ask me that I slow it down a bit so they can see the epicness. So you know what? I'm going to do that right here, because there actually is some teachable things here in baneling management. So watch as he surrounds these Marines, and watch the efficiency he manages to pull off. Look at that spread. That is beautiful. It took, because the Terran player stemmed, it took 3 to 4 banelings total to kill all those Marines. He didn't split. The Terran player didn't split. The Terran player stemmed at all the wrong time, the exact wrong time, and he wasn't even sniping the banelings while they were en route. And so all this compounded to allow SUGATOOTH's surround to be just amazing. So that is great for SUGATOOTH, because he really capitalized on the mistakes of his Terran opponent. And so try to do that. Worst case scenario, they snipe the banelings as you're moving in, and it's no different than a head you attack move to them. But best case scenario, they don't, and you pull off something amazing like that, which was such an economical engagement for him. I mean, that put him so far ahead. It's going to be interesting to see how he manages to lose this game, because he is doing incredibly well at this stage. He's even got his gold up, and I'd like to see some creep spread. That's actually debatable. Ooh, hello. Okay, that's just the Banshees. And good, tagging the Banshees with the Overseer, just keeping tabs on them. The Overseer won't keep up until you have Overlord movement speed, but nevertheless, good call. Now, I'd like to see some creep spread down to the gold. There is some debate with this sort of thing, whether the creep spread is beneficial or not, because technically it's giving away the element of surprise. You're not hiding it anymore. But if your opponent is good, they're going to, here you go, they're going to find it. And with a creep spread, you're going to be able to get your queens down there, you're going to be able to get some hydras down there, all sorts of options you wouldn't have otherwise had without the creep spread. And what is this? I guess they're sniping this rogue queen that looks like maybe got over here from some injection. Kind of the injection method I mentioned previously. It can throw you off all wonky-like if you don't have a good creep spread, and that looks like what may have happened. Looks like maybe he started... no, I don't think he even started a creep tumor. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to rewind just for that. But, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. These queens are having to make the slow crawl, and they're not going to get there in time, and so they're going to, unfortunately, be just a few hours late. Meh, a few hours late, and if this were a real war. I have no idea what I'm talking about. So these queens are going to have to turn around and make the walk of shame back, and they just got... they just got mistreated by some guy after they got drunk at a party, and it's going to be really tragic. And if they had had creep, they'd be able to get back a lot faster, and they wouldn't have had to have such a long walk of shame. In fact, they may have not even needed the walk of shame because the Banshees wouldn't have mistreated them so badly. Again, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So, I like this macro hatchery. The spending's pretty good. The Banshee harass, however, where are your spores, sir? One overseer is not enough. When you see this heavy of Banshee play, make sure you've got a couple spores for detection, because even these Mutalisks are going to sit here and go herpiter, and there's really not much that's going to happen for a bit, because more mutas are coming. But where is your overseer? It's down here. One spore crawler, just right here, would give detection to all this area, and all of a sudden these mutas can kind of laugh at the Banshees and eat them, and all is well with the world. So, great, we're starting up another gold. I like this. Starting the 4th. The creep spread is cutting off everything. I mean, there's no... Yeah, this is great. Just dump a little creep here, SUGATOOTH, and you're going to have everything cut off, but these two very, very difficult to maintain expansions. And if anything, you may even want to get some overlords down there as well, since you're cutting off everything else. This is beautiful, though. There's no 3rd. There's no 4th. There's no gold. I'm really, really happy with SUGATOOTH's play, and I think SUGATOOTH is one of those players where his fundamentals are ridiculously good. They are diamond level. They are maybe even master level. I mean, his creep spread is master level, no doubt about it. But it's the small things. It's the where's your spore crawler. It's the where's your creep spread when you just made a hatchery. So I guess that's one area where the creep spread's not quite impeccable. It's reacting to what you've seen. And so fix those little issues, and SUGATOOTH, you're gonna skyrocket in rank. You're gonna see such a huge change. So just you know, like right now with where he keeps the persistent Banshee play going, and he may even keep playing it even with these mutas out. He hasn't seemed to want to give up yet. Yeah, one spore crawler per base is gonna do you a world of good. Now these speedlings should not be idle right now. You just broke the rocks. Maybe you're waiting for some... Okay, this is actually a huge mistake. Do not morph right outside of their base. There could be a supply depot right here watching all of this. And actually this is what's going to happen. Yep. You're caught morphing, and you're going to lose so much element of surprise. You're going to lose resources. And in fact, if our Terran player was a little higher caliber, he would have pulled all these SC2s and lifted off the command center. But fortunately, that was not the case. Nevertheless, don't morph right outside. You could have morphed down here and had a perfect element of surprise. So, not a lot to talk about. Let's see how the macro is doing. The macro is actually a bit behind. It's really behind for both players, actually, if we look at this. And it looks like kind of SUGATOOTH is getting to this stage of, oh god, I gotta keep aggressing, please don't kill me. And he's losing track of his economy a bit. And had he been keeping up with the lost drones from the Banshees up here and this sort of thing, then this push, this push, would not be such a scary thing to deal with, because he's way ahead on economy for the majority of this game, but he didn't replenish the lost drones at his main, and he's just finally getting the gold saturated, which is fine given it was lost, but nevertheless he should have been able to just kind of transfer over. I should not be skipping this battle. I apologize for that. I get so damn preachy that I don't talk about the important stuff. So this is not looking favorable for our hero. I like this move right here, though. This is so good. Get those siege tanks out of position and just raffle stomp them, pull the Marines back, and lag a lot, and that is so good. The banelings into the Banshee fire, that's a rough situation. Oh man, and that is also rough. Make sure that you are baiting stims, not walking into, well, that was actually unstimmed Marines. Watch that mutamicro, especially when your entire composition is hinging on critical mass of mutas. Make sure that you're baiting stims by killing those siege tanks and then just pulling back. And this up here is manageable because the Marines aren't up front. So the mutas can really handle this. It's just the mutas are out of position, and he has lost quite a few mutas to that engagement with the Marines, which was also avoidable. But right now, the Terran player is very much mismanaging his units. Okay, and so this is going to be the end of it. Yeah. And this was just a case of some positioning issues. SUGATOOTH was doing a very good job with the siege tanks, but then by not watching those mutas closely enough, and actually, I apologize for going back, but I really want to check this from his camera. And I think this is something that'll help all of us a bit. I have a feeling I know exactly why those mutas died. So let's watch and find out. He died because he lagged. Let it be known that he died because he lagged. Okay, let's go back again. Oh, this internet. It's so bad. Okay. So let's watch on his camera here. And why aren't we... Okay, this is his camera. No, this is not his camera. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're microing, we're microing, we're microing, we're microing. Okay, it's not what I thought happened. Oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. Okay. And actually, I think, yeah, this is based on his camera. Yeah, player camera, yeah. It wouldn't lie to me. Okay, so what happens with Muta Micro is you get caught up in this little multitasking mentality of, okay, mutas are really micro heavy and I gotta keep them microed, but at the same time, if I micro too much, my economy and my unit management elsewhere drops like a rock, so I've got to make absolutely certain to keep both balls juggling at the same... balls. I've got to keep both of them juggling at the same time. And it's very, very tough to wrap your head around this balance. And he didn't quite manage that balance well enough. And he's got the right idea. SUGATOOTH, keep doing what you're doing, but practice makes perfect. Make sure you prioritize keeping the mutas alive above all else. So what you're looking for is windows of opportunity rather than forcing yourself to manage something like the banelings for a split second over here, which actually could have managed themselves. That wasn't even a situation where it was super, super critical. So, for example, you're managing the mutas and you're like, oh, God, I'm microing, and the Marines are coming. Instead of then all of a sudden jumping back here and making some drones, first move your mutas out here, then make the drones. And what's occurring is you're freeing up just a few seconds worth of actions because these Marines are going to be chasing. And you know that no matter what these Marines do, these mutas will not stop moving over here because you just right-clicked them over to the empty space. And no matter what you get distracted by, these mutas are going to keep sitting here, with exception of like Vikings flying in or something like that. These mutas, they're going to be safe and sound for a bit. So you're actually creating an opportunity to go back and manage things. And wow, this thing is freaking out! You're creating an opportunity to... Damn it! I gotta remember busy. Sorry about that, guys. Ryan's, I actually just got done casting him, and I told him that I cast it, and now he's getting all antsy, because he's, like, super impatient. So you're creating an opportunity to macro, and then immediately when you're done, just go back over to your mutas and go, okay, I'm going to harass you some more. And you may actually find out that the timings are pretty cool, because these Marines that just stemmed and then, you know, got a great big goose egg and didn't catch any of your mutas because you were busy droning. Somehow it works out that way because you made a move command. They got bored and decided to go elsewhere because now they think your mutas are going around to harass a depot or something. But in fact, your mutas never left. You've just been busy macroing. And so you just turn around and go, I'm still here, asshole. And it's kind of fun like that. And all the while, you're managing to juggle both the balls, to keep both your base management and unit management elsewhere, and also keep your mutas alive. So try and factor that into your muta micro, and you're going to see a lot less of what happened here, where 50% of your mutas died because you had to take your eyes off the screen for a split second. I hope that makes sense. It was very long-winded, but it's a very, very important thing to wrap your head around when thinking about muta micro. Okay, so getting back to business, I'll speed it up to back where we were at. Banshee's kicking ass, Banshee's kicking ass, Banshee's kicking ass, Banshee's kicking ass, Banshee stop kicking ass, Baneling's morphing, and here we go. And this is, there's not a lot of critique I can give here, just because this is kind of a one-sided engagement at this point. It's not like I can say, SUGATOOTH, you could have won with 10 Banelings against 50 million Marines. It's just, unfortunately, this is the point where it was a compounding series of small mistakes, ranging from not quite remaking drones fast enough to not putting spores at bases when you've already seen Banshee play. Very heavy Banshee play, I should say. So, SUGATOOTH, you are an amazing player. You have the potential to be a master level player. Just make sure that you are getting these little mistakes under control, and you're going to see everything fall into place, because all of a sudden that one or two mistakes that compound into losing a game will not be there, and it'll allow your raw potential to kind of shine through. And that sounds cheesy, but let's face it, this was great fundamentals. I cannot stress that enough. This is amazing fundamentals. Just make sure you're replacing lost drones, make sure you are keeping your mutas safe above all else, and make sure that you are trying to... I had another point I was going to make. Why the hell can my brain not work today? I don't think good. Okay, just try to keep those small mistakes in check. Try to rewatch your replays and do what I did here. Go, what was that pivotal thing that cost me X amount of drones? And then what did those drones cause to occur throughout the game? Because had these drones not been lost here, this would not be the way it is. You lost your mineral mining drones. It's no surprise you're floating 1,400 gas and 200 minerals just because of no reason. You probably stopped producing for the most part. If these drones had been there, you would be plus a couple thousand minerals. And if you're plus a couple thousand minerals, then engaging down here is going to be plus 40 Banelings, 50 Banelings, and all of a sudden things look a little different. That one little mistake caused all of this to compound. So just try to look at that and start looking at your replays and find those one little mistakes throughout the games and just work on them bit by bit. So, that is about it. I have jabbered way too much. Jibba jabba! So, yeah, everyone's way too young watching my cast to even know what that was a reference to. But anyone who gets the reference, woo, I love you! Okay, so, that's about it. I think, maybe I'll cast one more. I'm feeling pretty awesome today. Although I don't think I'm coming across too awesome. Anyways, that's all. Bye guys, love you!